quick video, have a quick live session to give an interpretation concerning the three things that are being highly discussed right now in the spiritual community. We're talking about the flash of light, the 3 days of darkness, and the timeline split. Okay, so we're going to talk about this from a perspective of just what I'm being shown about it. This is not meant to, disagree or disregard anything that anyone else has shared about it because we're all being shown these things from our own perspectives, right? From the perspective of our own divine guidance. And one, more than one thing can be true. Let me just say that more than one thing can be true. So, just to kind of summarize for anyone who may not be familiar with any of these three events, talking about the flash of light. The flash of light or solar flash is a time period where we'll be receiving light codes. Okay, we'll be receiving information from the sun. Okay, so this is being described by many in a very linear fashion and as an instantaneous thing that will happen. Just this big flash of light, and then all of a sudden, the consciousness of humanity will be raised, and that what I do see about it is that from wherever you are, whatever state of consciousness you're in, when this happens, you'll be raised from there. It's not saying necessarily that everybody's going to be raised to the same level of consciousness. Okay, we'll get more into it in a minute. I want to go to the second thing that's being highly discussed, which is the 3 days of darkness. Now, with this one, I'm hearing a lot of fear mongering, unfortunately, happening with this. That there's going to be 3 days of darkness, and that people, and this one, you guys, is something that has been, predicted for quite some time. I believe there may be something in Revelations about it. I know there was definitely an occurrence earlier in the Old Testament where there was 3 days of darkness and only the children of God had light, right? That a light came into the campground and they had light, whereas others did not have light. Okay, so this is being used for purposes of fear mongering. You guys know I'm not about that. I'm not about fear mongering. I'm not into that. I don't want to spread anything that keeps us, any information that keeps us in fear. But it's being said that there will be 3 days in which no one can see. You won't even be able to keep a candle lit, is what I've heard when it's being described, like from a religious perspective, that you wouldn't even be able to keep a candle lit unless it's like a blessed candle, and that there would be demons on the loose. So go in the house, close your door, close the windows, and protect yourself. Basically, it's going to be this terrible time where no one can see, right? So that's the second event that I'm hearing a lot about. And then I'm also hearing a lot of talk about what we're referring to as a timeline split. Okay, and the timeline split is, for those who aren't familiar, it is an occurrence where people who are on a particular frequency or on higher vibrations are experiencing life and experiencing the universe one way, whereas people who are in a lower vibration are experiencing the universe and experiencing life in a different way. And that those who are in a higher vibration would be aware of the calamities and things that people in the lower vibration are experiencing, but we will not be affected, even if it's your next door neighbor, right? Maybe affected by things that are happening in this lower vibration, for people who are tapped into this lower vibration, right? And what I want to bring our attention to, my purpose in this video is to bring our attention to some things that are already happening and that are just like universally true. Okay, so let's just start right there with the timeline split. it's already universally true that things are happening for people who are in a lower vibration that are not affecting you, right? If you're in a higher vibration, you're experiencing life from a totally different perspective, okay? You are not being affected by occurrences that exist within the collective consciousness, things that we're all aware of. You're not being affected the same way. You are, I said like this, and I was, using this example for a friend of mine, like, hey, when people are firing darts at you, you have to be flying low enough for them to hit you. When darts are fired, when arrows are fired at you, you have to be flying low enough for them to hit you. Don't fly low enough for those darts to hit you, right? And not to say that, if you live in a high vibration, you're just going to live like in this wonderland all the time, that nothing ever bothers you. I'm not saying that. Everything's not, bubblegum and rainbows all the time. However, things that you're aware of are not affecting you in the same way because you have a deeper understanding of what's actually happening, right? So I want to go to one of the main things that I want to address is that these three events are being discussed in a very linear fashion, as though they will be things that happen instantaneously, okay? And what I'm being shown is that, we have a tendency to understand things this way, to understand things in a linear fashion, and to expect that, this flash of light would be one flash. We imagine things happening this way, or that 3 days of darkness would be a literal 3 days where no one can physically see, because we imagine things this way because this is how we have experienced the world. Greetings, Zena Electra. Greetings to everyone else in the chat. My camera's a little bit further away, so I'm not able to see everybody's name, but I see some icons that I recognize. So if I don't call your name out specifically, no offense. So, you guys, we have a tendency to understand things and perceive things in a linear fashion because that is what we have experienced here in this 3D realm, right? All of our lives, we've experienced everything in this very linear fashion because we live in these flesh bodies and we're experiencing a 3D realm. But when we're talking about all of these things, all of these occurrences, the flash of light, the 3 days of darkness, and the timeline split is all leading up to this concept of there being a new earth and us living in the 5D, right? But as we go into this higher existence, into a 5D existence, we will not experience everything in such a linear fashion. And so we have to now allow our understanding to mature, and our understanding, our perception of the messages that are being, shared, the messages that are being channeled, messages that were in channeling, you guys, even when you read the Bible, these predictions, all these predictions that are made, these are all channeled messages. So don't get so freaked out, or even, placing, like deifying people who channel. Like, let's not do that, like, and let's not be spooked out, nor should we deify people who channel messages. Our whole, all of these scriptures that we have on the planet, not just the Bible, but all of these are channel messages. Channeling has been going on for a very long time, okay? A very long time. But what we need to understand is that these events represent something. They're representative of things that are happening right now, okay? So if you're not familiar, or even if you are familiar, one person I'm going to recommend that that you check out their channeled messages about, the flash of light and 3 days of darkness is Ann Tucker. I like her messages. She channels the angels. It resonates for me. Okay. But even as I listen to those things, I'm still seeing that what we're talking about is gradual processes that are happening now. So when you hear people talk about the flash of light and that, the flash of light is going to raise the consciousness of humanity and that it's coming from solar flares, it's coming from, information that we're receiving from the sun. That's not a one-time event. You all, this is happening now and it's happening all the time. The earth and the sun are communicating. The earth and the other planets are communicating. Other planetary bodies are all communicating. And guess what, you guys? We're caught in the crossfire of that communication, right? And those who are more sensitive, those who are empaths, those who are starseeds, those who are in a higher vibration, those who are sensitive in whatever way, are maybe more aware of the changes as they happen, right? Or may seem to be experiencing these things ahead of the time frame that other people will be experiencing them, or will be aware that they're experiencing them. We are experiencing these changes now. We're hearing I hear these messages, when I watch other spiritual teachers saying that, hey, there's going to be a flash of light. And when this happens, to just lie down, go ahead and, allow yourself to rest. It'll be a period of cocooning and things like that. Those of us who are sensitive have been experiencing this, right? I know it's over the last year or more, it's been very intense. And for those who are empaths, those who are sensitive, we've been experiencing these periods of fatigue. We're calling them ascension symptoms, and I heard a couple of other terms within other communities describing the symptoms that we feel when our DNA is being upgraded, when these light codes are coming in that are causing our gifts to come online. And it could be, headaches. I have another video that you can go and watch, this advanced ascension symptoms. There's a litany of symptoms that you'll experience, but we have to recognize that this flash of light, there may be. Listen, I'm not saying there's not gonna be, one particular instance or one particular day or whatever, when there's a more noticeable light that is, that is perceptible to everyone, that it can be perceived by everyone, even if you're not as sensitive, even if you're not an empath, even if you're not a starseed or whatever, that may happen. That could very well happen, right? That would get everyone's attention, right? It would be something that could not be denied, right? However, what I am saying is that this flash of light is representative of something, right? What does light represent? Light represents the revelation of truth. Light represents hope. Light represents freedom, right? Light represents expansion. Light is information, right? So, and also the dissemination of energy, a new energy, right? So these things, they're already happening now. We're already having certain truths being revealed. There's so much, talk about, those who are in charge are hiding information and deceiving us and yada, yada, yada. But if you're tapped in, nothing can be hidden from you. Information cannot be hidden from you when you receive that information divinely, right? When your energy centers are open, when your energy centers are active, when your energy is balanced, and you are tapped into your third eye, when you're tapped into your crown, when you're tapped into your 8th and 9th chakras, which we now have access to, right? This is another, if you guys, have been following, all the, if you follow certain channels within the spiritual community, it's been said years ago that in 2025 we would receive access to our eighth and ninth chakras, right? Full access, right? That ninth chakra is representing the cosmos, right? So if you are tapped in, you're already receiving information from the cosmos. The cosmos is the witness to all these things that have happened throughout history, right? Through the history of humanity, right? Whatever ETs we've come in contact with, right? If you are in tune with your divine guidance, with your cosmic energies, then this information is being revealed to you as is necessary for your journey. Okay, you'll be receiving information, you'll be receiving guidance that is necessary for your journey. Let me know in the chart in the chat if this is making sense to you. Give me some examples of things you've been experiencing, and I know you have, where you're receiving your own divine guidance. And it may not necessarily be the exact same thing that other people who are on here sharing are getting, but it would not necessarily conflict either. It's not going to necessarily conflict with someone who's sharing something that resonates with you, but it wouldn't necessarily be the exact same information. Why? Because you're going to get information that is relevant for you. You don't need all the information that's relevant for the whole of humanity. What in the heck are you going to do with all that information? You are receiving information, guidance, steps that's going to be necessary for your survival, right? For your expansion. Okay? So we're talking about the representation of the light and the fact that these things are already happening now. Okay? If you want to wait around for one instantaneous flash of light that everyone can see, the Bible says, every eye will see, every ear will hear, right? In Revelations, that, when the Christ returns, right? We're talking about Christ consciousness, right? This is already an energy that's already being poured out on the earth. Okay. So we don't need to wait for one particular instance for us to know that we now have access to the 5D. If you're tapped in, you're already having experiences. And I'll share it in a minute, an experience that I had that let me know for certain that the timeline split is here. I had a timeline split type of experience, and hopefully a friend of mine that was here will still be in the chat when I share that. So let's move on. What does darkness represent, right? Because we're talking about all these things, they're representative of something, right? And they're already happening, right? So we're talking about the 3 days of darkness, right? What is that? Well, first of all, darkness represents calamity, deception, fear, right? Confusion, right? A lack of sight, a lack of being able to perceive what's going on around you. It's very difficult to travel. It's very difficult to plan in the dark, right? Because you can't see what's around you. You don't have a lay of the land, right? You don't understand the landscape. You don't understand your surroundings when it is dark, okay? What is this representative of? A 3 days of darkness. Well, we also want to recognize that also in the Bible, what's coming to me, and that's just like a most popular frame of reference. It's certainly not the only thing that I recognize as scripture, the only thing I've experienced as scripture. But in the Bible, it does say, with God, a day is as 1,000 years, right? Let's think about that. So are we literally looking for 3 24-hour periods of darkness? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But has there been a great amount of darkness in our atmosphere for the last 3,000 years? Absolutely. Absolutely, right? Have we been controlled by fear and calamity and confusion? Yes, right? Have there been forces that seek to prevent you from discovering the truth? and from feeling empowered and from being able to expand in your life and to make plans and to feel that you have some control over your own being, absolutely, absolutely, right? Now, what's been going on more recently? I'm in the States, you guys. I'm in the United States, and here it's over the last 3 months. It could be a 3 month period, right? We don't know if it's 3 days, 3 months, 3,000 years. We don't know what it is, right? But over the last 3 months, as we're in March now, right? It's been crazy, right? The crazy has been amped up, right? The headlines have been popping, you guys, and everyone. I don't know, regardless of where you're watching this from, you're probably aware and perhaps have been affected by, or it's coming to your consciousness, because you're still, we're all observing the same, sharing a collective consciousness, that the politics are out of control. There's war and threats of war, as Revelation says. There's pestilence, there's mass sicknesses, there's all these crazy weather events, right? Things have been hyped up, right? There's fear of traveling, because of all these planes going down, right? Come on, guys. This is darkness. This is intense darkness, right? And if you're a person who is tapped into higher vibrations, if you're a person that's sensitive, if you're an empath, if you're a star seed, a way shower, or a teacher, or whatever, one of the things you may be experiencing is difficulty in planning. Okay, difficulty in planning. And I was planning to talk about this last Tuesday on my live, but I didn't do it. I didn't go live because of some family things I have going on. But my topic is about rapidly dissolving timelines. Okay, we're experiencing this now. If you are a person who is sensitive, one of the major things you may be experiencing is difficulty planning things long term. Okay, difficulty locating the energy that would support your long term plans. What plans am I talking about? Plans that you have been making over the last year or two, right? We cannot be in an automatic kind of mode right now where you're just automatically going along with whatever you've been thinking for the last year or two that you would be doing right now or in your near future, because we are rapidly moving up timelines. There are so many things that are changing, right? And if you're a person that moves based off of energy, you can sense that the energy is different. And a lot of things that we've been programmed into or have programmed ourselves into, in terms of planning things long term for our future, it just feels like the energy is no longer here to support those things. So when you look out at the world and you see this large scale, anytime you're trying to understand something that's happening for you as an individual, look at the world around you, right? And if this stuff resonates, give me some hearts in the chat. If you're watching this later, give me some examples of things like this that are happening for you, okay? Difficulty planning, or things changing that you always thought you were going to do with your life, or you've been thinking over some long period of time that you're going to do with your life. So let's look at the world at large and just what's going on among people. There are these huge waves, these huge movements of women refusing to participate in marriage or having children. Okay. Now, all of us, male and female, have been programmed that this is what you do. You grow up, you get married, you have a family, right? That is the programming. That's what you do. You pair up with somebody, and that person becomes your everything, and your family becomes your everything. But we're living in a time where that is being disrupted, right? Where women are saying, no more, I don't want that, right? And women are saying it very loudly. But guess what? Men are saying it also, but they're saying it very quietly, right? Men are not proposing, not, desiring to have a wife. Men are voicing that, hey, I don't know, if this is really going to benefit me. It's people are not connecting in the same ways that they were, right? This is just one example of things changing large scale, right? You see countries that have been allies over long periods of time suddenly not allies anymore, right? We're seeing earthquakes in different places. It's, there's just this wind of change, this huge wind of change. So when you bring that down to, okay, what is the example of that in your personal life, in your life as an individual, I should say, you may be experiencing, it seems like there's not fresh new energy here to support me doing things that I've planned on doing for a very long time. Okay. So that is one example of darkness. Darkness represents the unknown. Okay. So we're already in this darkness. Okay. Somebody give me some hearts. If you can still, if you guys can, I just want to make sure that you guys can still hear me. I noticed a little change on my screen here. Okay. Um, so you guys, listen, let's talk about this timeline split. Okay. Let's talk about the timeline split. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dabney. Let's talk about the third thing. Well, are we finished with the 3 days of darkness? Yeah, I just want you guys to recognize that that's already kind of gradually happening. Okay, that's already a gradual thing that is happening right now. Okay, last thing is the timeline split. There's already things happening. Just notice how you may be aware if you're vibrating high, you're living a joyful life. Okay, you're living an expansive life. You're doing your spiritual journey, you're doing that out loud, you're totally bought into that. Notice how you're aware of things happening in the collective consciousness. When you check in on the matrix by watching the news or maybe social media or whatever, you can see that other people are experiencing dark things that are somehow not directly touching your life. I'm gonna give a really quick example. Now, you guys, something happened here a couple of, may have been 2 weeks ago now. I don't know if it's quite 2 weeks ago now. And I hate to use this example because it was a very, very tragic thing that happened. But in my neighborhood, in my subdivision, like literally one street over, like a place that's like, if I step outside of my home, it's right there. I can see it. It's the next street over. There was an incident where someone had rented their very nice home to someone, and that person was, living a illegal life. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know. But what happened was the SWAT team came for this person. Okay, FBI, whoever came for this person. There were tanks, there were trucks, all these SUVs. There was a shootout. People had to be evacuated and all this stuff. Okay. Where was I? What was I experiencing when this was happening? Right here on the street, right next to me, one street over, within earshot. I was with my clients. I was with my client, talking, laughing, having a great time. Okay, great time. All right. And there was nothing around me indicating that there was any type of emergency at this level in my neighborhood, except that I saw one ambulance go up the street, and I saw lights, but I didn't hear a siren. Okay, so I didn't think much about it. I just said a little prayer in my mind. I'm thinking somebody's blood pressure is up or whatever. I said a little prayer. Be with them, let everybody be okay. And I went back to my client. When I was done with my client, which was within about an hour, and this whole incident, it was over a long time, according to what I saw on my neighborhood Facebook page later. It happened over a long period of time. When I was done, me and a friend went to go get some coffee. Okay. And if she's still in here, she'll verify. We went to go get coffee. We leave going the opposite direction. We didn't see anything. Normally when we go get coffee, we normally would go the way that we probably would have saw something if we went that way. But for whatever reason, this particular day, we decided to go the other way, get coffee in the opposite direction. We go get coffee, we laugh and we joke and we come back. We enjoy our coffee. No indication that anything is wrong. And this is at a time where I'm telling you, tanks and SWAT team was in my neighborhood. Someone got killed. Killed. Okay. In this subdivision. Absolutely no indication that anything was wrong. Matter of fact, this was Tuesday before last Tuesday, and it was a beautiful day outside. I didn't even know anything had happened until later that night after I went live. Okay. I had no clue. Yep, she's here, and she is. Yep, she's confirming, right, that this happened. Okay, at the same time. A really exciting story. I don't know how this will play later or what'll happen, but we're going to continue the conversation. So I was here talking about a situation that I experienced that was an example of a timeline split. And uh, my friend who experienced this with me was here in the chat confirming that, yeah, that's how we experienced it. Unfortunately, there was a terrible situation in my area. Greetings, Jit. Good to see you. Unfortunately, there was a terrible situation that happened in my area, which was a total surprise because, you know, things like that have not been known to happen over here. So it just, there was someone that had done something illegal. The SWAT team came after him and there was a shootout. Some of my neighbors were evacuated. Unfortunately, some lives ended, and all these things happened one street over. One street over, and I was totally unaware. Totally having a completely different experience over here. Inside inside of my building, and even a friend that was here with me that day and joined me to go get a coffee right after. So we even stepped outside of the building. Um, Total peace, right? And it's so interesting because that day we were commenting as we were on our way to go get our coffee on how beautiful and how it looked like there was a filter on the earth. Like it looked like there was a filter outside, like a filter that you would see on your camera. And it was so funny because that terminology I got from my friend, and she says that often, and it'll be like a particularly high vibrational 5D day, and we'll look outside and go, oh wow, it does look like there's a filter. And I was joking with her. I started naming. I started flipping through my phone. I said, yeah, this filter right here. I looked at my camera. I said, this filter right here. I think this is the filter that's out today. It looks, it looks so beautiful. It looks glossy outside. And I noticed that. I wonder if any of you also experienced that. Comment in the chat. You can let me know if you're here watching live, or if you see this later. Have you experienced that where it looks so beautiful outside on a particularly wonderful day? You're like, man, I feel really good. It looks really beautiful outside. It looks as though it looks dreamy. It looks dreamy. It looks as though if there's a filter on the earth, right? An enhancement, right? Those are our 5D days, you guys. And what I'm being shown, what I see, and what I believe is happening, because we started out this conversation. We were talking about the flash of light, 3 days of darkness, and the timeline split, which I believe these things are happening gradually. I do not believe that it will necessarily, I'm not saying it won't happen, but I don't think that we need to be waiting for these things to happen in a linear fashion or in an instantaneous fashion for us to start believing that the 5D is here, to start believing that we now have access to energy that we did not have access to fully before, for us to start manifesting new things. Yes, I see Jit in the chat saying, yes, you have feelings filters. You've been feeling really great this week. Wonderful. You know, sometimes some of us are able to feel and sense energy. We feel and sense and we feel colors rather than seeing them. Some of us do both. Some of us, you know, all of our senses are involved in the detection of, you know, the energy that is here. You guys, so um, that is something that, you know, we need to be present with now, right? Don't wait until, don't, you know, allow yourself to be waiting for some big instantaneous flash of light that everyone can see, a physical flash of light, visual light, or a, you know, visual, physical 3 days of darkness before you start to operate in and be present with the new energy that is here, right? Let's not wait for that. The energy is here now, you guys. You have to remember that time does not exist, right? All things are happening simultaneously, right? So that means the flash of light is here, right? And for those of us who've been heavily experiencing ascension symptoms, we can sense that, we can feel that, right? That means the 3 days of darkness is here, right? Hello, right? It's already happening. And this is something else. I'm going to share something else that was shown to me. And you guys, I just want you to follow me. I've I've learned that when these things are shared with me, I need to go ahead and just get it out, so that makes room for new downloads. So if you are a person who is sensitive, you're a person who receives messages and downloads, don't hold on to that. You know, share that to make room for more. You know, and not every single thing is going to be for you to share. Yes, there'll be some things that are just for you, but if it's for the collective, share with the collective. Okay, so another thing that I saw about the darkness, the 3 days of darkness, this is a time period in which we're just unsure. We're unsure of the lay of the land. And what I was speaking on earlier, before the live got interrupted, was that um, there is this sense of uncertainty right now, even among those who, there's two different uncertainties happening, right? There's uncertainty among those who are sensitive to the energies that are here, right? There's a feeling of it being difficult to plan things long term. There's a feeling of just like old energy being recycled, right? And the example that I gave is, if there is that if there's something that you've been planning to do with your life over a long period of time, you may now be finding it difficult to execute that. It may no longer feel like the energy is here to support that. And that could just be because we've moved up so many timelines, right? For a while, it was feeling that we were on this timeline to, you know, destruction, you know, that there's going to be, you know, all these wars and things like that. But now the messages are coming through widespread, for those who see and those who hear, that we are no longer on that timeline, right? Well, when we as a collective are no longer on a timeline toward a certain event, a certain linear event, do you not think that your individual timeline would be affected? Of course, right? So, feeling this uncertainty or inability to follow through with things, you may be, if you're going through life in a kind of automatic fashion, to where you're not each day or even each week checking in and saying, okay, is the energy still here to support, you know, whatever my plans are to do X, Y, Z with my life. If you're not living in that fashion, then that's what I'm calling living automatically. Just going off of what you've been planning to do and just assuming that that same plan is still in play, right? It's very possible that that same plan is not still in play because we have jumped so many timelines, right? Yes, Sarita's saying can't plan, gotta live in the moment, go with the flow. And that is an example of flow. This is exactly what we're talking about, being in flow, right? So you may find that when you go to act upon old plans that you've had for the last year or two, that the energy is no longer here to support that. What does that look like? Your enthusiasm is not there. Things are not coming together for that thing to actually happen and take place. Or when you go, you know, to, do certain activities or to act on certain activities that are part of that plan, you're running into blockages. You're running into blockages rather than that door being wide open. Why? Because that timeline is no longer energized. Okay. All right. So I just want us to be aware of this. Also, so that's one form of darkness, and that's the uncertainty. That's the feeling of, what is this? I'm not finding myself able to follow through or make things happen to manifest old things that I was planning, that I've been putting energy toward manifesting. And I'm not quite sure what to do next. I'm not quite sure what I am capable of. If you're a person that has been experiencing ascension symptoms, that means you now have new capabilities. Your gifts are operating in a new way. So you may even find yourself able to manifest a higher version. Allow yourself to reimagine, right? It doesn't, it's not harmful. It's actually quite helpful to allow yourself to mentally, to energetically detach from that old timeline, that old plan, that old process, that old storyline in your mind of what you thought you would be doing at this time or in the near future. Just allow yourself to emotionally, to energetically detach from that and explore, reimagine what you will be doing now or in the near future, right? If you want to get out of that feeling of darkness, right? So that's one part, one aspect of the darkness. Okay, the other aspect of darkness is from those who are experiencing the calamity. Okay, for those who are experiencing this calamity, those who are on the other pole of this timeline split, right? They're in fear. They're contracting into fear right now, right? And they're waiting for someone to save them, right? They're hoping, that these world leaders are going to come to their senses and, come up with some type of plan that's going to save them, right? That is a form of darkness. So when those two forms of darkness overlap, okay, that is a darkness that everyone is experiencing. Okay, if that makes sense to you, give me some hearts in the chat. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know. I get that. Okay, if you're watching this later, let me know if you are experiencing either form of darkness. Okay, or if you're seeing that other people are experiencing this form of darkness. Okay, so in these two forms of darkness, those who are high vibrational but not quite sure why, old timelines seem to be collapsing, not quite feeling able to act on old plans, right? Feeling that, oh man, am I just recycling old energy? This doesn't feel fresh. This doesn't feel new. This path doesn't seem to be open and clear. The way doesn't seem to be clear for me. And then there's this other form of darkness of those who are in a, low vibrational state, who are in fear. Those are two forms of darkness overlapping, creating darkness for the collective consciousness. Okay. And that could actually be what the 3 days of darkness is, what it actually represents. Rather than this physical darkness, it could be just this energetic happening. Okay. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. So not to say we won't experience 3 physical days of darkness, but know that that there is a form of darkness that is here now, and we want to be aware of where we presently are. Okay. Why is that important? Because when we're aware of where we are, then we're aware of what the next now will look like. Okay. Think about this, guys. What I saw visually when this was coming to me was when we talk about the timeline split, we're comparing it to mitosis, and there's a period in which, if you think of, the earth, dividing into, you got the old earth and the new earth, you got the 3D and the 5D. if there's a split that happens, if it's a gradual split, there's a moment when it kind of looks like this. Okay, you got one world and the other world, and it kind of looks like this. Okay, what else does this represent? Okay, how about a baby in the womb and the baby out of the womb? The connection point for the baby living in the womb, think about it. We're talking about a flash of light, a period of darkness, and a rebirth, right? We're talking about a flash of light, a period of darkness, and a rebirth in the form of a timeline split. Okay, so the connection point, the flash of light, it represents the baby in the womb, growing, coming into consciousness. And did you guys know that a baby can see when a baby's inside the womb? There's light there. A baby can see inside of the mother's womb. Okay, light reaches the baby inside the mother's womb. Okay, and of course, when it's birth, when it comes into the world, it can see then. But the connection point is the travel, the transport, the transition through the vaginal canal. So let this point where my fingers are meeting, let that represent the vaginal canal, right? So as we are spiritually, as we're energetically going through the vaginal canal into this period of rebirth, there is a darkness. The baby cannot see while in the vaginal canal. That is a highly pressurized situation. Are we not in a highly pressurized situation now? Are you guys able to sense that humanity is in a highly pressurized situation now? Okay, so you guys, listen. This is, I believe that what needed to be said has been said, but I just want you all to know that and to sense and to be present with the energy that is here now. Yes, there may be a flash, a physical flash of light that everyone can see. Yes, there may, what may manifest is a visual, physical 3 days of darkness where people cannot see, right? That could happen. But recognize that everything happens in the spirit realm first and then manifests in the physical. So these things are already happening in the spirit realm, okay? And they very well may manifest in the physical, but don't wait until then to tap into the energy. Why? Because that would mean that you could have access to the 5D now. You could have access to new gifts, new ways of manifesting new realities now and not even realize it, right? So thank you all so much for hanging in here through the technical difficulties and everything like that. Hoping that this video will upload as normal and be available as normal. But if it does not, then I'll just make more videos on this content, on this particular subject matter. Give me some likes, give me some shares, interact with this video, you all. That's how we grow the channel and get the word out to more people, be able to share with more people. It is my heart's greatest desire to help others get through this highly pressurized time that we're in and to have an understanding and a confidence to feel supported and to feel held at this time. So you all go ahead and like, share, and interact with this video. Give me some comments. Let me know how this landed for you. Okay? Thanks for everyone who joined in the conversation. Peace, prosperity, light to you, love magnets, love warriors, and love icons. Peace.